Hello, my name is Russell Myers, independent for U.S. President for 2024. There's a little bit of road noise in the background that I hope doesn't interfere with this, but I wanted to get back to the issue of the Middle East, Gaza, what's going on over there. So as of this time, Israel is still refusing to allow Egypt to deliver humanitarian aid. Electricity is still cut off to Gaza. Water is turned off to Gaza. Israel is not allowing food, medications, etc. to be delivered from Egypt into Gaza. Israel has withstained at U.S. urging from performing a ground offensive into Gaza, but that may not hold. That may change today or tomorrow. The bombing still continues. Perhaps you have heard about the hospital in Gaza. Different claims have been made that anywhere from 500 to 1,000 people have been killed or injured in that hospital bombing. Now, Israel is blaming Hamas. Hamas is blaming Israel. Considering the size of the weapon that would be required to destroy a hospital, I don't see any way possible for this to be Hamas. You think about it, Hamas has only rockets that are small. Israel is claiming that this was a rocket that was launched by Hamas, or multiple rockets that went astray. Well, this doesn't make any sense, okay? If one rocket goes astray, even if multiple rockets go astray, they went astray. They're not all going to hit the same building. The size of the bomb, we have seen Israel destroying entire apartment buildings, etc. It makes a lot more sense that this would have been an Israeli weapon. But investigations are ongoing. I'm not going to listen to anything from the Israeli Defense Force on this subject because of the obvious. They are going to try and claim that it wasn't that bad, that it was Hamas that did it, and it wasn't Israel that did it. No, it would have to be an independent third party reporting on this from outside. Just like I'm not going to listen to Hamas claims without either side, that if you don't have an outside investigator from the UN or elsewhere doing this investigation, I'm not going to listen to either side on this. But, all right, so, so there are protests that are going on, especially since this hospital issue occurred, and throughout the Arab world. As a short list, there are protests that are going on in Egypt, Jordan, Turkey, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, United Arab Emirates, Pakistan, Afghanistan, Iran, Lebanon. That's the short list. But it goes all the way up to Kyrgyzstan, and on and on. There are many people, and virtually all Arab countries that, especially if a ground invasion happens, these people are calling for their governments, their militaries, to step in and take action, including Hezbollah. We keep on hearing of them as a terrorist organization. I went through this in my last video. You can call them a terrorist organization, but they are a military, political, and human rights organization in Lebanon. And there are estimates as to how many members there are in Hezbollah. Some outside estimates say roughly 44,000. The leader of Hezbollah says there are roughly 100,000. So I would say that the actual number is somewhere in between there. President Biden has deployed 2,000 Marines off the coast or on the coast of Israel in case Hezbollah becomes involved. 2,000 Marines against 44,000. He may involve another 2,000, so 4,000 against 44,000 to 100,000 Hezbollah members, and that is if other countries do not get involved. Yemen launched a couple of missiles toward Israel that got shot down. This is heating up. The entire Middle East, the entire Arab world is ablaze as we speak. Meanwhile, Janet Yellen, Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen, has stated, oh yes, we can definitely, I mean, these were her actual words, the U.S. can definitely afford to fund two wars. Biden has asked, Israel has asked for $10 billion from the United States this week, and Biden has asked Congress for $100 billion to fund military activities in Israel, Ukraine, and Taiwan. $20 billion for Taiwan. Meanwhile, tens of thousands to hundreds of thousands of 155 millimeter artillery shells have been diverted from Ukraine to Israel. Why are we sending artillery shells? Why are we sending artillery shells to Israel? But no peace talks. There was supposed to be a discussion between four states: the United States, Jordan, Lebanon, and Palestine, which was canceled by Jordan. So when Biden went to the Middle East, he met with Israel and nobody else. And again, this is enraging the Arab world. Do you feel like paying $100 billion for all of these wars? I don't. I would much rather just have the meetings, have peace talks. Wouldn't you rather have peace talks than be funding all of these wars and putting U.S. soldiers at risk by the thousands? We have 2 aircraft carrier groups off the coast of Israel as we speak. Dangers. I've gone over the risk if Iran gets targeted, which, of course, the Biden administration is trying to blame Iran, even as the Iranian foreign minister is going around to Middle Eastern countries and trying to discourage other countries from getting involved in this. But the Biden administration is trying to blame nuts falling off a tree. Well, that describes the Biden administration. Wow. Lots of them. All right. Where was I going with this? So, the Biden administration wants to impose an oil embargo against Iran. What do you think is going to happen? If no oil goes out of Iran, Iran is going to shut off the Strait of Hormuz. Now, if Egypt, the president of Egypt does not want to become involved in this. However, the Egyptian people are protesting in favor of getting involved. If Egypt gets involved in this, now, Egypt is poor. They can't really afford this. But if Iran or Turkey say, we'll fund this, we'll pay if you get involved. Okay, so if Egypt gets involved, guess what happens? Well, now you're shutting down the Suez Canal, which will seriously, negatively impact global trade. Everything just shuts down. Now, of course, they can go the old route and go all the way down around the Horn of Africa to ship things from the east to the west, which adds months to transport and the expense of adding all of that transport, because you're paying for fuel, you're paying for renting the ships, you're paying the salaries of all of the sailors. Many sailors are not going to want to do this. They don't want to be away from home for months at a time, especially as the weather is coming in, which will make those journeys very rough going. No, many sailors will just reject that. They'll say no. So, what are we going to do with this? How much more can we claim spend on national defense? I've pointed out many times in the past, the defense budget includes only, when you hear of the defense budget, you're only hearing of the Pentagon budget. If you actually want to know what we spend on defense, you would have to also include the CIA, the NSA, the FBI, Department of Homeland Security, the VA, and on Because all of these things, the federal prison system, and then this is only considering federal expenses for security. You can also count, but you can also look at state prisons, state police, local jails, your local police, because all of this has to do with our national security. We spend, if you just look at the federal expenses, we spend at least minimum $2 trillion per year on defense, on national security. But we can't hold peace talks. Not with any administration that we've had for decades. The closest that we've had to peace talks was the Iran nuclear deal, and before that, Bill Clinton meeting with North Korea, both of which have now been complete failures. That's it. This is what we do. This is what the United States does. We wage war. That is our major export. When you talk about U.S. exports, that's our major export. Warfare. Dissension. Setting other parts of the world ablaze. That's our exports. That is our effort. That is the only means of diplomacy that this country knows. It's time for this to change. But you need a leader that will change. Which, by the way, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. just did announce that he is running as an independent. Dennis Kucinich, who has been in favor of peace efforts between Palestine and Israel, resigned as RFK's campaign manager, and in his place, RFK put his ex-CIA daughter-in-law in the position of his campaign manager. Yeah. Yeah. And RFK Jr. is completely pro-Israel. He would not in any way support peace efforts. He's another warmonger. Just accept that. All right. So, anyway, if you want somebody that is actually going to spend money on our people instead of all of these wars, there's somebody that will try to end wars, to use diplomacy, then I'm the one that you need to be following. Share this video. Talk about these subjects far and wide. If you can afford it, please donate whatever you can to help expand this campaign, and I will catch you in the next one. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you have a good day.